How do you understand time? How do you measure it? Are we running out of it and can we create more of it? Welcome to Casba Obscura. I'm your host, Bash. The thing about calendars, they're a very clear visual of time that has been developed to supposedly help us. But many people still feel like they're constantly racing against some sort of clock. The idea of being late or missing your chance at something is really familiar, especially for anyone who has grown up in places like the West or even in the more recent decades. With the abundance of devices we have surrounding us in our daily life, we can look to any screen and see the numbers slowly ticking and know exactly what time it is. For the past few days, I've been working on my calendar to schedule things for the last few months of the year. There are 10 more Thursdays until Christmas. There are only 13 weeks left until 2026. We are in the fourth quarter. When I look at the visual of the next 3 months all lined up next to each other, each day a small square box, it almost feels like nothing. Like the square little boxes are just there to be ticked off. At approximately 80 years of 52 weeks, our life can be estimated at a mere 4,160 little boxes. It's the trope of tally marks on a prison wall. Some lines from the song Time by Pink Floyd really give the sense of what I'm talking about. Ticking away are the moments that make up a dull day. You fritter and waste the hours in an offhand way. And you are young and life is long, and there is time to kill today. And then one day you find 10 years have gone behind you. Sun is the same in a relative way, but you're older, shorter of breath, and one day closer to death. Each year is getting shorter, never seems to find the time, plans that either come to naught or half a page of scribbled lines. These lyrics emphasize in an obvious way we waste the days and hours, especially when we're younger, and we can almost go blindly for years without taking any forward action towards creating a life that we want. It makes me think of when I was a kid and I thought I could do anything and be anything, and I had all the time in the world to figure it out. But I learned very quickly that near the end of high school, things had to begin to move fast if I wanted to have any kind of success. There was this rush to get things done in such a hurry. And when I thought deadlines and due dates were over for school projects, more tasks and projects to complete were thrown in my lap from university and work. And except this time it was my own money and livelihood that was at stake. So to live as an adult who has all their stuff together, you really had to be on your game, on time or early. Late looked bad. All of a sudden, I was a teacher and I was now assigning deadlines for students and really honing in on the fact that time management was this important life skill. It's true that working within the boundaries of this fabricated facade of hours and minutes has helped me to achieve my goals in the past. I believe there's a place for scheduling in calendars and using those to help organize our lives. But I don't want to think of my whole life like that, especially when I learned the art of slowing down and realized it made more sense for me to live that way. I wanted to take the time to do a small birthday reflection. I am recording this on my birthday, and for days before today, my family and my friends have been asking me how do I feel knowing my birthday was coming up. I wasn't really super excited, and that seemed to disappoint them a bit. I know when it's someone's birthday, I get excited and happy for them. But for many years now, birthdays for me have been a bit different. First of all, nothing can compare to when I was a kid and having a birthday party with cakes and presents. Back when I was younger, my friends would have these birthday parties at McDonald's, and when they got older, clubs and restaurants. I once had a friend who would always do something wild and adventurous for their birthday, and I really love that for them. I just feel like birthdays are significant in other ways, not that I don't like cake and presents. It's just, I see birthdays as more of a way to reflect and review your time on this earth. It's been really emotional for me lately because the more birthdays I have, the luckier I feel and the more blessed I feel. And I realize I'm closer to becoming myself. I've been given more time to grow. Back to the little boxes. So, looking at this calendar was starting to get daunting, and I was excited for the things that were coming up in the next little while. But it becomes a race, a challenge. There is an end goal. And I think it's okay to have goals, but we need to understand that we will never run out of goals. There will always be something new, something that we strive for once this thing is completed. So, what if we decided to look at time differently? What if we could live more fully so that we feel we gained more time. I think it's really important when we're looking at the grand scheme of our lives to understand the importance of knowing how to use the time we have. But if that's not your belief and you don't think that we were given a certain amount of time and that we create our own time, I also think that can be true. I was recently thinking about when my family came to visit this past summer and how their presence in my home just made me feel so full. It made my life feel so full. I was cooking meals for them, we were eating dinner together, we were doing daily things together during the summer, and it really felt I had created more time in my life just by being with them. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange, but to me, it just made so much sense. I was thinking of this in a way I had not experienced before. Had I not been with them this summer and had these experiences with them, the days on the calendar would have still passed. Because we had created these experiences together, these now new memories we all had, it was now as if the next part of my life had unfolded. That's what it feels like, an unfolding. It's like your life is a piece of beautifully crafted origami, and to understand time is to look at it as the act of unfolding that piece. It is about slowly unfolding each fold and crease that you can feel is the one to untuck and pull back to reveal the blueprint. You already know what it looks like. You know what it presents itself to be: a crane, a rabbit, a butterfly. But the idea is to see how it became, what the paper looked like before the creases appeared, when it was flat and untouched. And I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but I'm starting to see that time is not necessarily linear, and that cycles and patterns present in many aspects of nature and our own lives. So to think that we are all on this horizontal plane moving forward in one direction just does not ring true for me. Even the fact that we can access memories and thoughts from the past or imagine a future, even the fact that we are often having a hard time remaining in the present moment, these are clues to me that show we might not fully grasp time the way we think we do. Culturally, people in various parts of the world do look at time differently, so it's highly likely that there really is no one way of best interpreting this. The fact that my family and I live in different time zones is already one way that time is skewed, and the reality of what is for me can be different and is vastly different for them. I watched an interesting video by Mumbai Poetry where she talks about the concept of time through the lens of Kenyan philosopher John Biddy. One of the concepts in this idea is we can create more time, and she explains this idea that time needs to be experienced to be real, that events create more time. So the events and experiences we have in life build itself in a way. This goes back to how I was feeling about my family's visit. It added to my life, and that's the best explanation that I feel mirrors what the philosopher said. I think that what happened to me this summer, it's a weird experience after they left. I felt like I gained more. I don't know if it was because I really missed them and their presence in my life was dearly missed, but it fulfilled me in another way where I feel like it extended my life, like I got more life now. In her breakdown of his text, she continues on to explain Biddy's concept that the future does not exist because it just hasn't happened yet. That even in some of the languages, there is not really a way to describe the future. That idea helps me worry less about ticking off the days that haven't even happened and focus more on how I can fill up the boxes with experiences and events to create more life and more time. I don't know if it's just because we are used to days passing by and thinking of time as a linear thing. For example, you might think, well, there's always tomorrow, so you just head along the path. But I don't really know if I think of time so linear, especially when I hear stories and a lot of different versions of things that tend to have a cyclical nature. So, just like the cycle of life and death, I think that our lives are not so linear. David Perel did an interview with 20 master writers and spoke about the idea of writing as excavation. He described how when you write, it's as if you're digging for more, and that writing is a vertical process while thinking is linear or horizontal. When we look at how a sculptor works from the outside in of a brick of marble or a slab of clay, they remove and remove until the work is shown through, just like the idea of unfolding something to reveal a bigger picture. When he spoke about the horizontal, he was referring to how we can think many thoughts and go back and forth on this invisible line. I think the focus on one thing at a time when writing vertically is a more effective way to look at life and time. You may only write one sentence at a time, but eventually there will be a story. In Alice in Wonderland, one of my favorite stories, The White Rabbit is the character who runs around with a ticking pocket watch shouting, I'm late for a very important date. He would be frantic and freaking out, and I loved how Alice would be so confused about what in the world he was late for. But she continued to follow him out of curiosity. I think that's exactly how we can look at time in life. To have Alice's curiosity and willingness to get into new situations at every turn, and follow the White Rabbit only for that reason, not because we are swayed or rushed or pressured by his anxious fret or his ticking pocket watch. There's another point in the film when Alice is following a red path, and just before she gets too excited to have found her way home, she's met by a brush dog who has swept away the rest of the path. When he gets to where Alice is, he moves around her and continues brushing the path that she came from, leaving her on one little red square. When she thought she knew the way, the path disappeared, leaving her only to have to start from the beginning again. I've heard the sayings like jump and the net will appear, or when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And these are just some similar ways to say that sometimes you just have to start again. If you think that unfolding the origami is the easy part, you have not even begun to think about folding it back up once you know how many intricate folds there actually are beneath the surface. So I tried this new thing where I made my calendar vertical instead of horizontal. I know it may sound weird, but I have the weeks at the top, the dates on the left side, and the numbers going up and down. It feels like a better way to focus on each day because it's different than the way I've organized my time before. It's not much different, but I've been liking it. More than changing up the way my calendar looks visibly, I'm focusing on using the cycles of life to help me better understand where I need to be and when. I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on the little things I can do daily to fill my life. That one thing a day to help me gain clarity or help me unfold and smooth out the page so I can have space for more boxes that have yet to come. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and look out for a new episode coming your way very soon. I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace out.